Why do we need social housing, and does the government even care? Well, in a recent interview with social housing expert Carole Neales, we delved into exactly that. With Carole, we looked at various different ethical approaches to social housing and why there's so much demand in that sector right now. We also spoke about the government's lax approach to the social housing sector and how that is affecting the industry massively. And make sure you stick around till the end, because we're going to be sharing with you how you can get involved and help solve the UK housing crisis. Because we sure as hell know the government aren't going to do it. So let's get straight into the clip. You're going to love this.
Social housing is providing support and accommodation to the more vulnerable people in society. And sadly, we live in a society today where more and more people are finding themselves homeless through no fault of their own. I mean, you see people today who've got jobs, they've got children, they're both working, but they just can't meet the mortgage rates and the utility bills and everything else. So they end up homeless because what we're finding is rents are going through the roof, and lots of landlords are obviously taking advantage of that. Yeah. And you can't blame them in some ways because their mortgage has gone up. So they've got to stress test their income to their mortgage.
In terms of a property strategy, it's just a buy-to-let.
100%.
Yeah, or a buy, refurbish, rent, refinance to let. Yeah. You're taking on a property, but when you do the buy-to-let, you're buying it, but you're just letting it to social housing provider.
Yeah. So when I'm looking for houses, for example, I would look typically for the terraced houses. And then I've obviously got clients who only want one-bed apartments. Yeah. So we put them in a block. But I typically look for places that are not in the middle of a row of terraces. I look for end of terraces.
Okay.
I think that's a good thing for people to take in mind, because you need to be mindful of who's going to live there and who already lives there.
Yeah.
Because you want to be an active part of the community. You want to show the community that what you're doing works and that it works for the betterment of the local community.
Right.
If I could help it, I wouldn't put them in the middle of a terrace.
Got you.
I put them in semis, or that's why I buy pubs.
Detached or blocks
completely.
of flats.
Yeah.
So, yeah, okay. So like an old pub converted into flats, turn it all into social housing. Right. Types of social housing. So is it just terraced? Could you do houses in multiple occupation?
Yes, so what I do is I make them HMO compliant, and then we accommodate the clients. Right. So we have 4 people, 1 bathroom, hopefully 2 loos, a living room and a kitchen.
Right.
That's a very simple and easy model.
Could you do a 10-bed HMO?
Yeah, I did a 10-bed HMO in Oldham.
Okay, so is there any limit to the size?
No, the more people you have, so if you go over 13, then you'd have to have a person living in.
The 13th is where the person moves in. So if I did a 12-bed and I don't need a person living in, with social housing, is there the same requirements from the council as with working people in a HMO? Do you need the emergency lighting, fire alarm systems? Do the government care about the safety of the social housing people as much? And what's the law do? And what's the ethical, what should you do? So, and do you need a HMO license, etc.?
Sadly, the same rules that are attributed to the private rented sector are not attributed to the housing associations or the councils.
Wow.
And that is a bone of contention with a lot of us. I would say the majority of us in this sphere, we adhere to the regulations. So I personally always make sure they have their HMO licence. And the reason I do that is, as we all know, areas change into Article 4, licensing, whatever. Yeah. And if you don't have a licence now, and you've been accommodating people for 3 years and then they move out, you may not get a licence
in the future.
Later on. Yeah. So I make sure that all the properties have an HMO licence and are fully compliant.
So to future-proof the fact that I take on a property now, it's a 7-bed, I could move 7 people in on social housing, I don't need a licence, but actually Article 4 gets introduced, which means I need planning and stuff in the next 2 years. The contract comes to an end with the social housing provider, they don't want the house anymore, and now I've got this big house, but because I didn't get the licence 3 years ago, I now can't get a licence.
That's right.
So you'd future-proof it. So that's one from the business side.
Yeah.
But also there's just the ethical side of...
Yeah, so we make sure...
keep people safe, right?
No, I agree. And you have a duty of care to your clients, no matter where they come from or who's paying for them. So we always do all the certification every year. We do the ECICR every 5 years, and we obviously do fire inspections every 12 months.
Do you know what really pisses me off about this, to be honest? Can I say that on here? I've said it, it's too late. Is the government and the media bash landlords all the time about rogue landlords and rogue whatever. And yet, the government, for social housing, have a policy of, well, they're not working people, so they don't need to be as safe as working people. Working people need fire doors, and working people need fire closers on the fire doors, and working people need emergency lighting, and working people need to have a licensed HMO. But if you're social housing and you're not working, if you're just, like, somebody that's recovering from alcoholism, just put them in there, don't worry about a HMO license, they'll be fine. Let me know in the chat box, let me know in the comments what's your thoughts on that, by the way. So if you are watching this and doing this, don't just think about the legality of what you have to provide and the money. Think about the fact that you want to keep people safe and the ethical decision.
I would say, though, that most of the people I work with, well, in fact, all the people I work with, to be fair, none of them will cut corners.
Good.
100% ethical and moral, and they all make sure that the houses are totally safe and compliant for their clients.
So if somebody wants to reach out and in order to try and make their property social housing, if they've got properties right now or they want to convert properties into social housing, where was the starting point? What should they do?
So I would hope that they want to do it for the right reasons. I would hope they don't want to do it to just make loads of money, but I would say that they contact their local council to ask the council what their needs are, where their specific void areas are, and how they can possibly work with them. I would ask the council, which providers do you currently work with that you support? Because you can't just do it. You have to be given an allocation from the council, and your properties have to be signed off in a lot of cases by the commissioner. I would then look for local charities that I'm interested in. Do I want to help this community, and how do I want to help them? And what is it I'm interested in, and reach out to the local housing associations and charities in that area and ask them, how can I support you?
Over the next few weeks, I want to keep an eye out for this. Will you be sharing some more social housing information with me and my lovely audience?
I will, yes.
What sort of stuff?
So we are going to go and interview 2 of my clients. One of them is a company called Healthier Heroes, and they're based in Lancashire, and they support veterans. And there's a huge story behind that, which we'll share when we've done the video. The other person we're going to see is LifeShare, and they're based in Manchester. They've been going for over 30 years.
So if you like the idea of that, getting behind the scenes, speaking and having Carole speak and interview some of her clients, then you need to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you are watching this on YouTube.
What I would love, if there are any developers out there listening that are doing big developments, or they know big developers based in Manchester. The last 2 years we were really lucky. We were given the welfare unit from Vinci, and we've been able to use their welfare to do their Christmas party. So we look after people for 7 days over Christmas. We feed them breakfast, lunch and dinner. We have doctors, nurses, hairdressers, everything in. We have a vet in to look at their pets and so on and so forth. Anyway, we don't have that this year because Vinci have finished their project. And if there's another construction company that can offer us that, I'd be thrilled. But we're going to see LifeShare, and they have provided food, education, support, guidance. They don't provide accommodation, they find accommodation elsewhere for the homeless people in Manchester. And they lost their site when another developer bought the building that they were been in for 30 years. And they've never been able to find another one since. So I'm kind of on a mission to try and work with investors to find a building that we can house them in.
Is this to house them in long term or just over Christmas?
We need a place for Christmas.
Yeah, just for 7 days?
Yeah.
So like when you say welfare, you mean like a construction site where they've got like their canteen and whatever?
Yeah.
So any construction businesses across Manchester, any projects in Manchester, and you want to open up or give access over Christmas for 7 days, please reach out. How?
And they can contact me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, any of those mediums, or you can just make a comment on this podcast and we'll get back to you.
I used to work for a construction company. I won't mention the name online, but if anybody who used to work for that construction company that knows who I used to work for and works for them, and you've got a site in Manchester right now, just reach out to me as well on social media. Let me know and I'll pass it on to Carole. And maybe one of those sites we could get you some access to over Christmas.
That'd be amazing.
So let's together try and find somewhere for Christmas. If you want to do your good deed for 2023, comment in the chat, post people, tag people in, whatever it may be. Everyone who you think might be able to help Carole find somewhere for this for Christmas. Let's make it our mission to make that happen. So go! Why are you still here? Oh, right. You want to know how you can get involved and give back to your local community. Well, there is a completely free guide. It's in the pinned comments and it's in the description that you can download right now that can help you get your first property project up and running and then scale to project number 2, 3, 4, 5 and so on. And you can use these properties to solve the social housing problem that we are facing right now. Go download that guide and let's get you started on your property journey. And as an extra bonus, since you've stuck around, you can watch other clips of my interview with Carole Neales, the social housing expert, here now. Or hang on until the end and the next one will appear on your screen. I hope you enjoyed this interview. I've been Kevin McDonald, you've been amazing, and I'll see you next time.